Hello Earthlings. Today we have 3 exciting stories. First story. Title: My wife said I can be replaced. I'm a 30-year-old man married to my 29-year-old wife for 2 years, though we've known each other for 6. A few weeks ago, a seemingly routine conversation about house issues escalated into a deeper, more intense discussion about our priorities, careers, and intimacy. During the heat of this argument, my wife painfully remarked that I am replaceable. This comment struck a nerve and has haunted me since. Right after our argument, she decided to cool off by going out with friends, leaving me to wrestle with the weight of her words alone. At the time, I was already grappling with ongoing health issues, and the emotional stress from our dispute exacerbated my condition. Feeling increasingly unwell and alone, I was compelled to call paramedics after sensing that something was seriously wrong. It turned out to be a heart attack. When I was rushed to the hospital, the staff attempted to contact my wife, but were initially unable to reach her, likely due to her still being upset and out with her friends. She didn't know about my hospitalization until she returned home and found me missing. Once she realized what had happened, she hurried to the hospital, visibly shaken and remorseful. Throughout my hospital stay, she was by my side, crying, holding my hands, and showing a level of care and concern that was deeply touching. Upon my discharge, my wife took on the role of caretaker, diligently attending to my needs to aid my recovery. Despite her dedication, the sting of her earlier assertion that I could be replaced lingered in my thoughts. It has created a persistent undercurrent of doubt and insecurity about the solidity of our bond. As I reflect on our relationship and the tumultuous events, I find myself pondering the disconnect between her caring actions and the harshness of her words during our argument. It's perplexing and painful to reconcile the two. Her comment about my replaceability not only hurt me but also made me question the very foundation of our marriage. Why would she say such a thing? Was it a momentary lapse driven by frustration, or did it reveal a deeper, more troubling undercurrent in her feelings towards me? The complexity of these thoughts has left me in a state of hesitation about how to approach her for a much-needed conversation. I understand the importance of discussing our feelings openly to heal and strengthen our relationship, but finding the right words and the right moment feels daunting. This incident has shown me that our marriage, while filled with love, also harbors vulnerabilities that need addressing if we are to move forward together in a healthy, supportive manner. As I continue to heal physically, the emotional and psychological recovery seems just as challenging. The journey ahead requires mutual understanding, forgiveness, and a commitment to address not only the symptoms of our issues but their root causes. My hope is that through honest and compassionate dialogue, we can rebuild and reinforce the love that brought us together in the first place. Update. Physically, I'm feeling much better and have even started working out again, albeit at a slower pace. I anticipate further improvement with time. The decision to separate for a while truly benefited me. Initially, it felt odd to only focus on myself after being part of a couple for so long. I felt lonely at first, which was a new sensation for me, but I gradually got used to it and started to enjoy the freedom. I could do what I wanted whenever I wanted, bought new things, changed up my home decor, and found peace in the solitude. It was a stress-free time without arguments or problems, and I even got a cat, who's become a great companion. During the separation, I spoke to my wife weekly and we attended counseling sessions together. These sessions were transformative. I was completely open and honest, perhaps overly so, about my grievances and what I felt needed improvement in our relationship. My wife found the separation challenging and initially seemed to cope well, but it soon became clear she was struggling. In our counseling sessions, I concentrated fully on addressing our marital issues, but outside of those sessions, I kept my distance to maintain my peace. My wife also started individual therapy to work on her mental health. At one point, I questioned her fidelity, which she calmly denied, even offering to show me her phone and social media to prove her honesty. Regrettably, I responded poorly, suggesting she could have hidden evidence, which hurt her deeply. I later apologized for my harsh words. Over time, I chose to move past these issues and forgave her, deciding to give our relationship another chance. Since she moved back in, she's been contributing equally, if not more, to our household tasks, sometimes to my annoyance as she insists on handling certain things herself. We plan to continue with both joint and individual counseling for a bit longer. While I enjoyed my time alone, I realized how much I missed her, her smile, her hair, her eyes. Our time apart made us appreciate each other more and likely deepened our feelings. Our interactions now feel more genuine and loving than before, perhaps because we no longer take each other for granted. Looking forward, I'm secretly planning a getaway for just the two of us to enjoy some time away together. The separation helped me prioritize what's truly important in life and in our marriage. We've learned to communicate better, be more open, and allow ourselves to be vulnerable with each other. These changes have strengthened our bond, and I believe they will continue to benefit us moving forward. It turns out, after all, that I might not be so replaceable. Second story. Am I the A for denying my daughter my wedding dress? I decided to ask for advice here because I've seen helpful responses to similar issues before, and I value your opinions. I'm a 45-year-old mother whose 20-year-old daughter is getting married soon. She asked to borrow my wedding dress, but I had to tell her no. This dress is very special to me. I designed it myself, and my mother, a skilled seamstress, made it. It's the last piece I have that she crafted, which makes it incredibly dear to me. The situation is complicated by the fact that my daughter doesn't just want to borrow the dress, she needs to alter it significantly. She's a size 14, and the dress is a size 4, so she would need to use the fabric to create something new, which would change it forever. Now, my daughter is upset and has been telling people that I'm a cold-hearted person who hates her. My sister believes that upsetting the bride over a dress isn't worth it. I love my daughter immensely, but I don't think it's fair that she can't accept a no just because it's her wedding. Even if she could wear the dress without altering it, isn't it strange to demand someone else's property? Should mothers lose their individuality and become solely providers for their children's desires? I'm struggling with these questions and the backlash from my decision. Update. I recently had a heartfelt conversation with my daughter about my wedding dress, which holds deep sentimental value for me. My mother, who passed away shortly after my wedding in 2008, had made the dress. She had kept her illness a secret to not overshadow my big day. I suggested to my daughter that we could work with a seamstress to create a similar dress, and I offered to help with the embroidery, which requires a lot of time and care. She agreed to this plan. However, things took a devastating turn. While I was out, my daughter came over with her 2 dogs. She took out the dress to take pictures, and unfortunately, left it out. The dogs ended up tearing it to pieces. I was heartbroken when I found my dress destroyed in my bedroom. When I started sobbing, my daughter dismissed my feelings, suggesting I was overreacting and even called me creepy. My husband had to ask her to leave because of her attitude. The next day, she called repeatedly, crying and apologizing, worried that I might hate her over the incident. I reassured her that I didn't hate her and that I loved her no matter what. Later, my sister suggested that I give my daughter the parts of the dress that were salvageable so they could still be used in some way. Reluctantly, I agreed, and my daughter sent her fiancé later that evening to collect the embroidered pieces. I'm not angry, just profoundly sad. The dress was a connection to my mother, but I know that her memory is not tied to material things. She lives on in my heart, and I miss her dearly every day. Third story. Accused of baby trapping despite tied tubes. This morning, I had a serious argument with my fiancé. We've been together for 2 years and engaged since September, and up until now, we've been making good progress on our plans, including a simple backyard wedding to help save for a house. However, for the last 2 weeks, he's been dodgy about discussing any future plans, prompting me to confront him about it before work. He revealed that a conversation with his uncle, who he was dog-sitting for earlier in February, had been troubling him. His uncle shared his resentment towards his ex-wife for supposedly trapping him with a pregnancy, leading to a bitter divorce and his ex-wife moving on quickly. This story has made my fiancé paranoid. Out of the blue, he accused me of potentially planning to announce a pregnancy to trap him into our marriage. This is absurd because he knows I have no desire for children. I practically raised my siblings and missed out on my own childhood. We agreed on this no-children stance when we first started dating, and I've even discussed him getting a vasectomy to solidify our plans. To further ensure this, I had my tubes tied as soon as I could, making pregnancy impossible for me. I reminded him of this fact, and his response was just silence. He didn't apologize or say anything. Frustrated, I told him that if he could create such a significant issue from nothing, I doubted his reliability in a real crisis. Now, I'm left questioning if I was too harsh or if my anger is justified. I'm unsure about how to proceed. Should we try to work through this misunderstanding, or is this a sign that our relationship might not withstand real challenges? I'm really conflicted about what to do next. Update. It's been a tough week. To put it plainly, we're no longer engaged, and he has moved back in with his parents to work on himself. Our breakup wasn't caused by cheating or any hidden children. It was more about him having second thoughts and being influenced by his family and friends. His uncle's family, who often looked after him as a child, have always treated him poorly, and he struggles to stand up to them. They've impacted his ability to distinguish reality from fear-driven perceptions. Another contributing factor was one of his friends, who had previously chosen to be child-free, announcing his wife's pregnancy during New Year's, which got my ex-fiancé thinking about his own stance on children, especially since his parents are eager for grandchildren. After dog-sitting for his uncle, he somehow convinced himself that I might change my mind about not wanting kids and surprise him with a pregnancy. The heart of the issue for me is that whether or not he remembered that I had my tubes tied is irrelevant. He was letting his fears and past traumas affect how he saw me, treating me as if I was going to deceive him. He stopped trusting me based on a false scenario in his head. That was not acceptable to me, and it's why I decided to end things. He's been moving his belongings out all week and mentioned he's returning to therapy. His parents, realizing the extent of his anxiety, apologized to me and will be supporting him. While I've offered to support him as a friend and suggested our relationship is on pause, writing this has made it clear to me that I couldn't compete with his deep-seated fears, nor can I trust that he would ever fully trust me again, if he ever truly did. Thank you for your insights, Reddit. They helped guide our discussions, but in the end, the broken trust seems too profound to repair. I don't see us getting back together after this.